So we're gonna make a Sazerac because I like stirred cocktails in the morning. So we're gonna start with a really boozy, whiskey-forward cocktail called the Sazerac. It's in the lexicon as kind of one of the classics and one of my favorite stirred drinks. Kind of a more spiced, boozier version of an old-fashioned, not quite as sweet. Typically, you'll see Peychaud's bitters as the primary bitters in a Sazerac. I like to use Angostura as well, so I do a split. I do 3 dashes of Peychaud's and 3 dashes of Angostura. So we'll start with Peychaud's, and then Angostura is kind of the all-purpose bitters that you've seen on every back bar in everybody's house. When you have a stomachache, you drink it with ginger ale sort of deal. So 3 and 3. The Peychaud's will give you a little bit more kind of a star anise-y vibe, and then the Angostura is a little bit more baking spiced, kind of tamarind, cinnamon, that whole deal. So after the bitters, it essentially just becomes an old-fashioned base. So it's a 1/2 ounce of a regular 1-to-1 simple syrup. So just equal parts sugar and water. Measure out a 1/2 ounce. There's that. And traditionally, this drink would be a rye drink, primarily rye. I like to split the base and do cognac and rye. It adds a little bit of layer of kind of a savory nuance from the cognac. So we'll start with cognac and do 3/4 of an ounce of cognac for my recipe. There's that. And a full 1.5 ounce measure of rye, which is essentially just a hash pour. So rye offers a little bit more spice than you would get from a typical bourbon style old fashioned, which plays really nicely with the bitters in this drink. Now for a drink that doesn't have citrus, we're going to stir this one. That's usually the differentiator between a stirred and shaken cocktail is whether or not there's citrus, cream, egg white, or something more viscous and heavy that needs to be incorporated. So for stirred drinks, I'm just going to drop a little bit of ice in the mixing glass and give it a stir. So I've heard a lot of bartenders that have kind of hard and fast rules about stirred cocktails, how many rotations or how long you stir. I kind of do it by sight. You can sort of tell by the ice level and where the liquid is, whether or not the drink is done. Sazerac is a drink that's going to be served in a chilled glass, but not over ice, so I do want this one to be a little bit colder and stirred a little bit longer than I would stir a traditional old-fashioned that would sit on ice and continue to dilute while you drink it. That's going to be about good right there. Double check. It's delicious. So I have a glass pre-chilling already. But again, because this is going to be served without ice, you want a nice cold glass to retain the temperature of the cocktail after it's been poured. Now the main differentiator between a Sazerac and an old-fashioned, aside from the bitters, is going to be the absinthe. Absinthe scares some people, but all we're going to do is mist the glass. So it's got a really aromatic, star anise kind of licoricey flavor profile on the absinthe, and it's really, really nice on the nose. So just a couple of spritzes into the glass, and we're going to strain it in. So you'll see some bartenders, Sazeracs, will be a little bit more bright red if they exclude the Angostura bitters and just use Peychaud's. The combination of the two is going to give it the kind of brownish red hue. That's what my Sazerac will typically look like. All we're going to do to finish this drink is a little spray of a discarded lemon peel. Just going to express all those oils over the glass, around the rim, into the glass, so you get all that on the nose. And then just get rid of the peel. That's your Sazerac. Simple classic.